all of these dividend yields and this capital growth has just been over the last 12 months. And when we talk about long-term investing, it's really important to look for a longer period of time. 5 years is still pretty short. So if you can look at data that's like 10 plus years, 20 years, that might be better. And some of these ETFs might not have existed for that long. So we don't always know how they're going to perform in the future. We don't know that, but it's sometimes important to look at how they have performed in the past just to have a better holistic idea.
The Get Rich Slow Club podcast is a collaboration between Tash Etchman from Tash Invest and Anna Christina from Perla. The Get Rich Slow Club acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land we record on. From coast to coast, across land, waters, and communities, we pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Any advice is general and does not consider your financial situation, needs, or objectives, so consider whether it's appropriate for you.
Welcome to the Get Rich Slow Club podcast,
where we take you from beginner to confident investor,
where we can teach you everything you need to know about investing.
So come get rich slow with us.
Hello and welcome back. Today we've got 5 popular high dividend ETFs with the Perla community. Perla are good friends here, so I asked them for some data on the highest dividend paying ETFs and also the ones that people are actually buying, because there's some really niche ones that not many people have actually invested in. So these are the 5 most popular highest dividend paying ones. They're not all the complete highest dividend paying ones, but the ones that people have actually bought, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Because the highest dividend paying ETFs are very obscure, some of them.
Yes. And we do have one that paid a 24% dividend that we will get to.
Yes.
That's massive.
So yeah, but first, what is your money win or loss?
My money loss.
Oh,
I often drive my boyfriend's car and I scratched the rim of his wheel on the curb.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Was he upset?
No, he was a little bit annoyed, but no, not actually.
Oh.
He just doesn't like it when it looks ugly. He likes his car a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't really care too much, but it was an accident. It's very easy to scratch the rims because they're quite low when you're parallel parking. So I'll have to pay a few $100s to get that fixed at some point.
Oh no, you're paying for it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, it sucks when you scratch someone else's car. I've done that to my partner's car as well. I was very sleep deprived, I think, after our second child and accidentally knocked the side mirror.
Oh no.
A little bit. And on the side of pulling out of the garage or whatever. And it just sucks when you ruin someone else's thing.
Yeah, it's so annoying because the wheels look nice or whatever if you're a car person, but it's just not practical. Whereas my car, I can just slightly hit the curb and nothing happens. You just know that you're in. But this car, you can't tap the curb to know that you're in it. You can really see it.
That's the challenge of having nicer things,
yes.
Right? If you get a nicer car or a brand new car, you drive it off the lot, it's already going to lose value. But if you scratch it, it is the first scratch. It is the only scratch and it is your scratch. And it's going to cost you a lot because it's not an old car.
It just shows up for some reason so much more. Why are these rims so obvious when you scratch them? Whereas the silver rims you scratch and it's fine. It's the completely black. So when you scratch it, you can see the silver straight through it.
Oh, brutal. And also if you have older things, then you don't notice the dings as much.
And I don't know, even my little Mazda, the wheel feels thicker so you can drive into the curb and nothing really happens.
You're used to digging your old car up.
Not even dinging, just tapping it to know that you're in, but nothing happens. Yeah. I think I just need a 4-wheel drive so I can just drive over them and it's fine.
You can just go over the curb. Awesome.
What's yours?
What's mine? So mine's more of the ethical thing. I have this exact top in black and I was I'm just going to buy the same thing. But I'm trying to be more of an environmental, ethical kind of consumer. And I bought it not thinking, being I know it fits. I just want a white version of it. But really, I want to buy more organic cotton, more things that are not made of plastic, because wearing a lot of plastic seeps into your skin. It's actually as toxic as eating plastic.
Crazy.
I've found out recently in some research. So I'm trying to really remove plastic. But then I realized a lot of clothes that people wear, especially workout gear, is all just plastic, right? You're just literally wearing plastic. You're sweating in plastic. You're absorbing plastic. And so I'm trying to remove plastic. And on that note, I bought this top and I'm wearing plastic.
Oh no, more things for me to research. I haven't thought about wearing plastic as much as eating plastic.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's so hard. It's hard to be aware of every single thing. You can only do as good as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyhow.
I'll add that to the list for maybe next month to worry about.
Yeah, don't stress about it today, but stress about it. So let's kick it off.
Why are dividends important when choosing investments and why might some people actually want to focus on a high dividend paying ETF?
So dividends are quite important because it is a portion of a company's profits that is then shared with its shareholders as income. Now, we have to remember that this is also taxable. So if you get dividends or also distributions.
Yes. This is where like the dividend versus distribution thing actually makes a lot of difference, because dividends are the company profits shared with shareholders, but the distributions might include things like realized capital gains. Like with ETFs, they have to rebalance. So sometimes the distribution that we call the dividend is actually the dividend plus capital gains from when it's been sold and then paid out to you to rebalance.
Yeah. So just to say that a little bit again, is dividends is usually just company specific, whereas distributions are more ETF specific as well because it encompasses additional things.
Yeah. So the dividends are if you're buying just Apple or just Microsoft or just Tesla, whereas the distributions are buying like VDHD or VAS or IOS.
Exactly. So that's just the portion that you get, the company profits. It gets paid out to the shareholders. So you often see it in your bank account. You might get a dividend payment, a distribution payment, or you might have that reinvested into that specific ETF or share.
So some of the potential pros, it can help with your total returns. They contribute to the overall investment return and can often remain consistent in some investments, even in flat markets. They can be a reliable income stream in the future. So if you want to retire and live off dividends, there might be franking credits attached, which are fun tax credits. They can be reinvested, and they can also kind of demonstrate a profitable company.
Now, there's also some cons. They can increase your taxable income. So you might have your income from your employer, but having some dividends come in may potentially increase your taxable income. Dividends are also not guaranteed. So that's another thing. People often assume that they will be getting dividends or distributions, but that's not always the case with every single ETF or company. And it can also limit some growth. So some companies reinvest profits for longer term gains instead of paying out dividends. So you might see this quite a bit with tech companies who take the profits and then put it back into the company. They might hire more employees. They might try to be more innovative. They might do other things. And instead of being a shareholder and getting some money from that company, it's being actually reinvested back into that company.
Tesla's a popular one for this. They don't pay out dividends.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one which surprised me was the Global X Battery Tech and Lithium ETF, so the ticker code ACDC, which is always a fun one. This invests in global companies involved in battery technology and lithium mining, targeting the clean energy and electric vehicle boom. The dividend return was 7.31% over the last 12 months, which seems quite high, but the capital growth was negative 9.49%. So overall, it was actually negative return for the year.
Yeah. And this is why it's so important to be looking at both, not just dividends, not just capital growth. You want to look at both because some ETFs, some companies might be really high on one and negative in the other, or vice versa, or both.
Yes.
You don't know if you're not looking at both. That's why it's really important to use platforms like ShareSite or Navexa to double check these things, because you might be looking at just dividends or just capital growth, but looking at them holistically is your total return. And that's really important when you're assessing an ETF or a share that you might potentially want to invest in.
I mentioned this briefly earlier, but the problem with some of these ETFs is it's not actually the dividends being paid out, but the realized capital gains. So ACDC invests in companies across the lithium cycle, including mining and stuff like that. So when it rebalances its portfolio or sells appreciated assets, ones that have gone up in value, it has to realize the capital gains. So these gains need to be given out to investors, which is part of the overall dividend payout.
Very interesting. Yeah. So the next one on the list that we have is the Vanguard Australian Shares High Yield ETF, also known as VHY. So this tracks high dividend paying Australian companies aiming to provide regular income and long-term capital growth. So for this one, the dividend returns is 7.96. And then if you're looking at the capital gains on it, it is only 0.32%.
Not as good, but this one is definitely one of the more like truer, we're going to use the word true dividend tracking ETFs, because it actually invests in companies that pay good dividends rather than it being a high growth ETF that is paying you out profits from the growth rather than the dividends.
Yeah. So it's just all the learnings that comes along with ETF investing.
The next one is the VanEck Morningstar Wide Moat ETF, so MOAT. This invests in US companies with substantial competitive advantages or wide moats and strong long-term growth potential. So for this one, the last 12 months, you would have received a return of 8.54% on your dividends, whereas the capital growth on this one is not a growth. It is a negative 4.68. Oh no, not ideal.
Wah, wah.
This has lots of companies, including things like Walt Disney, Boeing, Nike, Pfizer, Estee Lauder, and Adobe in it. So I guess there's a lot of like tech companies or things that were impacted by the cost of living crisis, like Walt Disney.
Big brands. Yeah. Estee Lauder, makeup right there, right?
The next one we have Morningstar Global Technology ETF, TECH or tech for the ticker. This provides exposure to a diversified portfolio of global technology leaders selected for innovation and growth. Gosh, some of these are like the sales pitch.
Yeah.
This had a return of 2.41%, which is quite low, but then the dividend or the distribution was 7.35%. So same thing as one of the earlier tech ones I mentioned. This is a lot of realized capital gains being paid out as part of the distribution, not just dividends.
So this one has Sony, Microsoft, Workday, Zoom, Shopify, Uber listed under this one.
Ooh. The final one was very interesting. I have never heard of an ETF paying this high of a dividend, but there are definitely a lot of cons that come with it. So it is the Global X Ultra Long NASDAQ 100 Hedge Fund ETF, or the code is LNAS. It is a geared ETF aiming to deliver 200 to 275% of the daily returns of the NASDAQ 100.
Wow.
Yeah. So it returned 24.22%.
That's
as
huge.
A dividend or distribution.
Yeah.
But the capital growth was negative 17.9.
Ooh.
Yes. This is also not a true dividend paying ETF. So you need to consider the dividends and the capital gains and the currency. Most of this income comes from futures contracts. So this one isn't even buying actual companies. It's buying futures or derivatives, all those more complex things, and hoping to make a return from it. So it's not company earnings. It's artificial and it can fluctuate a lot. It is also rebalanced daily, I think it is as well. So you're not really, the capital growth just isn't really there, the potential for it.
I think it's worth us saying at this time, we're not suggesting or recommending any of these.
I'm really not recommending this one at all.
We are just sharing some of the things that people invest in and just discussing what to look at as well.
Yeah. Just another note on LNAS, I wouldn't recommend buying that one at all if you're a long-term investor. If you log onto if you go onto the website that makes it, like they even have this big warning that pops up saying this is a speculative short-term investment only that you need to watch daily. It is not a long-term investment.
Yeah. And we're not about watching things daily. We're just about building wealth very slowly for the long run, long term. So yeah, absolutely not. Do you invest in any of these other ones?
No.
Yeah, neither do I, actually.
I've heard AC/DC pop up a lot just because of the name. Mm-hmm. And like lithium had its moment for a while as well. But now I think it's like gold is having its moment now rather than lithium. It was one of the themes for a while. But no, I never bought it because I don't like to buy the concentrated kind of more speculative stuff.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. So as we say with all investing, do your research, dive deep, make sure it's right for you. Go talk to a financial advisor if you are unsure.
Yeah, we're not suggesting any of these. We're kind of just highlighting that you should look under the cover. If it seems like a 24% dividend is too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah. And one of the things that we haven't talked too much about is that all of these dividend yields and these capital growth has just been over the last 12 months. Mm-hmm. And when we talk about long-term investing, it's really important to look for a longer period of time. 5 years is still pretty short. So if you can look at data that's like 10 plus years, 20 years, that might be better. And some of these ETFs might not have existed for that long. So we don't always know how they're going to perform in the future. We don't know that, but it's sometimes important to look at how they have performed in the past just to have a better holistic idea.
Yeah, and you can benchmark it on something like shares that we were mentioning earlier. Like you can find a benchmark like the ASX 200 or the S&P 500, or you could even benchmark like VDHD to compare, because you might be like, oh, that sounds quite good, but there might be a basic ETF that's returning more than that consistently. So benchmark it, compare, and like understand what you're really getting as part of your returns.
Yep, do your research.
Okay, bye.
Thanks so much for joining us. If you found this episode helpful, please rate us 5 stars, write a review, or share with a friend. If you're new to investing, make sure to listen to our first 10 episodes. Follow us at Get Rich Slow Club or Tash at Tash Invests, or me at Ana Cristina.
This show was brought to you by Natasha Etchman, who is an authorized representative 1299881 of Guideway Financial Services, AFSL 420367, and Perla, who is an authorized representative 1281540 of Sanlam Private Wealth, AFSL 337927. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to investing. So make sure you check out our financial services guides and read the product disclosure statement and target market determination for any investments you're considering. See our show notes for more info.